This episode of Lawyers Tell All is brought to you by Law Firm Conversions. If your law firm's phone is ringing, that only means your marketing is successful. It's what happens when the phone is answered that will drive your success or failure. Visit www.intakeacademy.com and claim your free copy of this groundbreaking book, along with resources on mental health for intake specialists and empathy. Plus, become eligible to receive a free 15-minute consult with Chris Mullins. Welcome to the Lawyers Tell All podcast, where Chris Mullins, the preeminent sales and communications consultant in the legal industry, shows you how it looks through lawyers' eyes. Here, innovators in the trenches provide powerful insights that help you connect with new clients, handle the sometimes harsh realities of the legal profession, and embrace the mindsets needed to succeed. Be sure to visit our website at www.lawyerstellall.com. And while you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now, lean in, tune in, and let's take a deep dive.
Hello, everyone. It's Chris Mullins with Lawyers Tell All, and today I am going to be interviewing Vadim Glozman. Did I get it right? Is that
That's
good?
right. You got it right.
All right. I'm going to let Vadim tell you a little bit about himself. Go ahead.
I'm an attorney in Chicago, Illinois. I practice primarily federal criminal defense, everything from violent and drug crimes to white-collar crimes. I also do some select civil litigation, whether it's some kind of investigation with the SEC or CFTC, or maybe some kind of other civil case I might get brought into.
Okay. And so why don't you give everybody your website?
My website is www.glozmanlaw.com. It's not very creative, but it's just my last name, law.com.
Glozman is G-L-O-Z like zebra, M like man, A-N like no, right?
That's correct.
Okay, super. So how long have you been an attorney?
I've been an attorney for almost 10 years.
Oh, you're a youngster.
This business ages you, so I don't feel as young as I am.
Yeah, but you're pretty successful, right?
Yeah, I was very fortunate. I got to work for one of the premier criminal defense attorneys in Chicago right out of law school, and he was kind of at the latter end of his career, so he really let me kind of cannonball into this and really wrap my hands around some complex federal cases where I got to do things and learn things that usually people at my level wouldn't get to do. So I kind of immersed myself in this business right away and was probably doing things I wasn't qualified to do, but kind of just baptism by fire, I guess.
Well, and who was this attorney that you were able to learn from?
His name's Ed Jensen. He was very prominent in Chicago. He referred to himself as the Dean of Criminal Defense in Chicago. And
Okay.
he represented everyone from politicians to celebrities to alleged mob members, and things like that.
Well, that is like amazing opportunity for you.
Yeah, I got very lucky.
That's huge. That is huge. But you didn't waste it. So what are the biggest things you learned from him?
You got to immerse yourself in this business. It's it's hard to check your work at the door when you're a lawyer, especially when you do criminal defense and federal criminal defense like we do. It's kind of something you carry with you all day. You're constantly thinking about cases. You're constantly talking to clients, and it kind of becomes your personality. It becomes who you are. And he kind of always taught me that it's not just a job or a career. It's kind of a life you make for yourself. And all the people in our business who are successful and have been able to sustain long careers, I've kind of seen that in them too. Is you got to immerse yourself in the business and just be a part of it, not just be Vadim Glozman, who's a lawyer 9 to 5, but be Vadim Glozman, the criminal defense attorney.
24/7.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let me ask you the question then. When you became an attorney, like I'm guessing you probably already knew it's a gazillion hours and everything, but before you had this mentorship experience, did you realize that it was really about you're all in 24/7?
I had no idea. I didn't have any lawyers in my family. The only lawyers I really knew about were, what I'd see on TV or in a movie. I was very ignorant about all of it. And, I had a couple other clerkships doing other things, very short, and I never really felt the connection to it. But right when I was doing criminal defense, it kind of felt right. It felt like something I wanted to do. It felt like I was almost good at it right away. Obviously, I didn't know much, but it just kind of came naturally to me.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so how did you decide on criminal defense though? Like how'd that happen?
Right before I started law school, I was an intern at the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. They prosecute cases around Chicago state cases. And I worked there for a few months. And, every time I was in court, I kind of saw myself more identifying with the defense attorneys. And my supervisor there, her husband was actually a fairly prominent criminal defense attorney in Chicago. So when I started law school, I went to work for him. She got me a job with him. And during that time, I did a little bit of internship at a small personal injury firm. I
Oh,
wasn't really grasping it. I wasn't, it wasn't interesting to me.
yeah.
All the stuff that I was doing in that job kind of made sense. And he officed with who ended up being my first boss at Jensen. That's how I met him, through my first internship. And
Okay.
I would always kind of just, it made sense to me, which, sometimes the law just doesn't make sense the first time you look at it, or things you do,
Yeah.
but with criminal defense, it did.
Yeah. And probably like Mr. Jensen, I don't know, maybe like you fell in love with the relationship. So that relationship really helped you. Yeah, criminal defense is what I want.
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. I never actually thought about that before, and no one's really mentioned it, but I think, well, I don't know if maybe I worked for kind of a run-of-the-mill firm where they were kind of just churning cases and, doing small ones. I don't know if I would have been as enthralled with it, or as, kind of captivated by the whole thing. It was very interesting just to see these big cases that you read about in the newspaper or see on the news. And I'm just getting thrown into it and getting to do like substantial work on it. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's kind of like, whoa, I'm actually doing that. I'm not like just reading it. It's me now.
Yeah, and I had some successful things that I did on some cases that I didn't have any business doing. I kind of just took the bull by the horns and was proactive about it, and did some things on the case which worked out in the client's favor, and impressed him and impressed some of the other attorneys that were working on the cases with us, and kind of just kept going after that. You build up your ego a little bit, you build
Yeah.
up some success, and kind of see yourself doing it more long term.
So was it like risk taking, or more like just trying to build your confidence by leaping forward?
I don't know. I had this thing about me where, for some reason, just out of the gate, I wasn't scared of anything. I wasn't really that nervous. It was probably a lot of ignorance working against me. Just, the less you know, the
Yeah.
less you know what you don't know. And I kind of just took the chance. I wanted to prove myself. What happened was I started being his law clerk. And at that time, he was interviewing for other associate attorneys. And I was about a year away from, passing the bar. And I went into his office, and, my heart was pounding out of my chest. And
Mhm.
I said, if you're interviewing for associate attorneys, I'd like to be considered.
Mm.
He looked at me and said, "You're already being considered. Now get out of my office.
What did he say? Say it again.
You're already being considered. Now get out of my office." And,
Oh.
so I kind of used that as a drive to, show him that, you should wait for me. I'll be a good addition to your firm. And he ended up doing just that. He interviewed a lot of people who actually had experience doing what he was looking for, but I don't know, maybe he saw something in me that wanted him to give me a chance.
Okay, so what do you think he saw in you?
It's fun. He said this to a client that he had, who later ended up being my client. And he says, Vadim, he's a tough Russian kid. And I think he thought it was tough. And I think some things you could learn and teach, and some things you can't. I think he appreciated my toughness and my resilience, and kind of the lack of fear I had doing things.
Yeah, like I'm looking at you right now, and I'm profiling you. I'm like, yeah, that you do seem kind of like confident and tough and like no nonsense. Yeah, I guess I get that. That's great. That's really good. But like a little while ago, you said something about I think you said something like you related more to the criminal defense, like when you were at the PI firm, and then you related more to criminal defense. What was it that attracted you to the criminal defense area? Like what was it that went ding, 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 ding?
I think it was just The cases are more interesting and the fact patterns are more interesting. And like I said, for some reason, the dots just connected to me when I read something. And, obviously I had a lot to learn and I still have a lot to learn. I don't think you're ever done learning, but I can kind of spot the issues right away.
Mm-hmm.
What was going to be an issue in the case, what wasn't going to be an issue, what needs to be focused on. I was
Mm-hmm.
always very good at, if there are multiple issues in the case, conceding some and figuring out which ones should be focused on for the greater good of the case. And I think you said I seem no nonsense, and I think I am no nonsense. I think that's one of the things that people who hire me like about me.
Mm-hmm.
I lose out on a lot of clients because some clients just want a yes man who will tell them whatever they want to hear and
Yeah.
tell them it's going to be okay. And then when it doesn't go okay or doesn't say what they promised, they kind of just shrug their shoulders and move on. And that's not really my approach. I'm always, you know, a no BS approach. I kind of tell them how it is, how I see it, what I think we can do, what I think we can't do. And if they want a lawyer who's just going to tell them what they want to hear, I'm not the guy for them. But if they want a lawyer who's going to be honest with them, no matter if it hurts or not, they should consider hiring me.
Well, that piece right there that you said, that whole piece right down to they should consider hiring me. I'm hoping that you say that to your prospective clients.
I really do. And I always tell them, I never pressure them to hire me. I always tell them, this is your life on the line and you should hire whoever you feel most comfortable with. That's what the most important thing here is. You're going to get a lot of lawyers who can probably get you similar results, maybe some better than others, but on a lot of cases, probably similar results. And at the end of the day, it's your life on the line, it's your liberty on the line, it's your family's livelihood on the line, and you should be comfortable going through it. It's not just about the end result sometimes, it's about how you get there. And, there has to be open communication, there has to be honesty, there has to be trust, and those kind of things, not just, pay me my money, hire me, and I'll get you the result. These are stressful situations, and sometimes
Mm.
you need to guide people through it. Actually, when I hired my new associate, she asked me why on our letterhead it says attorneys and counselors.
She
And I
asked you what?
explained,
Say it again.
like, why on our letterhead it says attorneys and counselors.
Mm-hmm.
Explain that part of what we do is we counsel our clients through these situations, not just following the law and doing, the motions, all those kind of things. It's guiding them through the process and making sure they feel comfortable and make sure they know that everything's being done in their best interest.
Mm-hmm. That's a pretty good question. That's pretty good that she asked you that. I
Yeah,
mean,
it's inquisitive.
yeah, it says a lot about her. Okay, well, so now there's so many things I want to ask you, but I'm going to ask you this question. Let's talk about empathy for a second, because so what we do in our business, it's Intake Academy, and we train and coach team members. Every firm seems to be calling intake something different these days, but it's primarily intake or attorneys, depending on who has that role, on how to convert and convert more, like convert. But one of the things that you have to learn to do that is empathy. And because if you don't have empathy, you can't convert. And if you don't have empathy with your clients, it's tough to retain them, or at least retain a really good relationship with them. So the reason I'm asking you is, what do you think about empathy? And the reason I'm asking is because we're talking about criminal defense, we're talking about the tough-mindedness, all of that, and like being direct with the clients. Do you feel like empathy gets in the way of that image?
Not for me. I think I employ empathy every day with every client. I don't think it's fair to the client if I'm not empathetic with their situation.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of most people, if not all people that I deal with, it's not that they're bad people. It's that they did something bad and it doesn't define who they are as a person or define their life as a whole. And if I'm not empathetic to their position, I can't always expect myself to act in their best interest. They're not just another number. They're not just another file. They're not just another fee to collect. If
Mm-hmm.
you show empathy, I think clients could tell. They can tell if you actually care about them, and they could tell if they are just another file. And that's part of making them comfortable. And, it's asking questions about them. It's asking questions about the case. If you talk about intake, you have to be inquisitive about their case. You have to ask questions and details and not just, okay, what kind of case is it? Where is it? This is how much I charge. I don't think that's going to convert you as much. Or like you said, retain the long
Yeah,
client relationship that might end up with not just this client being happy regardless of the result, but also lead to other referrals.
right. Yeah, 100%. But like the other piece is um, there's the deep down intimate empathy moments where intake is on the phone with a prospective client and hearing the story on why that person is calling. And some of those stories in your area, um, it's tough for team members to wrap their heads around it, you know, to still be there for that person in that moment on that call without showing any other thoughts and feelings, right? What do you think about that?
I think there has to be a good balance between emotionally being empathetic and objectively looking at a situation. I don't think you need to necessarily completely dive into this empathy for them to actually feel that you have it for it, because you do have to be objective. You can't just take a case just because you feel sorry for someone or because you feel bad for someone. There has to be something that you could do for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a balance of being objective and being empathetic. You shouldn't let the empathy cloud your judgment, because at the end of the day, you still are running a business and you can't represent everyone that you feel bad for.
Right, right. Yeah.
It has to be a balance of, you know what, you were wronged or you're in a bad position. I want to help you, but I also think I can't help you.
Mm-hmm. Right. Saying it with confidence too. One of the things like if you don't already do this, what you could do for with intake or whomever's handling prospective client inquiries, but also client relationships. One of the best ways to provide empathy without being uncomfortable, or not everybody is comfortable with providing empathy or understands how to do it. Um, it's really, they can just do active listening. That's it. That's all you, I mean, if you just hear what the person said, whether it's prospect or client, and have that habit of the active listening, that's providing empathy. You don't have to worry about, oh my God, I don't know how to do it. And the person feels like you heard them and you actually did hear them, because uh, if you can't do active listening if you're not listening. So yeah, what do you think about that?
I agree. I think some people just want someone to listen and to care.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it, and not just, get the small details that you need or interrupt them and kind of get to the chase so you can get to the next call. You have to treat them like a human being. Usually are human beings, and that's what it is, at least for me. My practice isn't that big now, so I still do all my own intake. I get calls come in, but
Oh no,
I sell myself to every client.
you're killing me.
I'm not a high volume business.
Yeah.
It's easier for me. I like to be the one who makes the decision.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to decide based on me, not necessarily what someone else says.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Are you happy?
Happy. I think that's a loaded question, but yeah,
Yeah, it is. It is, but you have a nice smile. So
thank you.
so let me ask you this. Stress. What's it like? Is it crazy stressful? Is it not stressful? How are you managing it?
No, it's stressful. I'm probably not the best person to ask about how to manage stress. I constantly carry it around with me. Some days less than other days. I think in my business, at least for me, it feels like all of my client burdens are on my shoulders.
Mm,
So, I take their issues personally. And so all day I'm, dealing with all these other people's issues, all these like the worst parts of their lives or worst parts
mm,
of their days. And then you come home and it's tough to separate that, and it's tough to prioritize the stress that comes with just being a human and
yeah.
your personal life. So I'm still working on that part. How to
Yeah.
do it all.
Yeah. Do you have a family?
I do have a wife and a toddler.
A toddler. Wow. How old's your toddler?
I think he's 20 months old.
Oh boy. Cute. The cute, crazy age.
He's the cutest kid.
I'll bet. I will bet. Well, I'm gonna hopefully you'll keep working on that self-care part of it. That's probably like the most important piece.
It is. I think you got to keep your mental health balanced
Yeah.
in order to be able to be effective in this job.
That's one of the things that I would like to see law firms do a good job at, is providing mental health support to everybody in the firm, whether it's through insurance or just, resources, or maybe a speaker come in on a regular basis that's in, that mental health, it's the appropriate person, and just keep it top of mind awareness for everybody in the firm, including attorneys, everybody. Like, mental health is important to us because everybody is talking to a prospect or a client, and those stories, no matter what, they're traumatizing to the receiver. And you can, PTSD is, alive and well everywhere, especially in law firms. And then, the suicide rates for attorneys are huge. So that's one of the things I would like to see, is just across the board focus on mental health and self-care firm-wide.
No, I agree. In my state in Illinois, the new requirements for CLE is that some of the hours have to be about mental health. They used to not be. I think they changed just a couple years ago. So they're trying to push that. I think there's lawyer assistance programs, and probably underutilized. But
Yeah.
it's hard to do everything you need to do especially when you're running your own practice.
Yeah, no, I understand. Okay, what would you like everybody, what else could you teach the folks that are watching this? Best practices, tips, mistakes you made, whatever you want, it's up to you.
You got to be the most prepared lawyer in the courtroom. That's always the advice I got, and I think it's the best advice I got, because you never know what's going to come. You might think one thing's going to happen in court, or something else is going to happen in court, or one thing's going to get argued in motion, or another thing, and you have to be able to pivot. You have to be able to adjust or call an audible, and you can't do that unless you know everything about the case and the applicable law. And I think some of the mistakes that lawyers make is kind of trying to fly by the seat of their pants. And I understand sometimes it's just the nature of the practice. I think the more preparation you could put into a case, the better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. That's good advice. What's the future hold for you and your firm?
I'm trying to just build an established practice, bring in people who could add value to our clients, add value to our case results, and kind of just grow our reputation in the city.
Mm-hmm.
I'm never actively looking to just hire someone. I'm always trying to hire the right person, not just someone.
Yeah. So you want to grow as far as firm size, or not really?
I'd like to grow a little bit in firm size. I'm not really looking to have a big firm or a mid-sized firm or anything like that, but have a handful of attorneys and support staff and things like that. And I don't want a high volume practice. I want high stakes cases where I could try to help people and really kind of sink my teeth into them, see what I can do to help people out.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. All right. Any last words?
It was a pleasure talking with you, and I look forward to watching this after we're done.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. All right. So long, everyone. Chris Mullins with Lawyers Tell All. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in to Lawyers Tell All, where Chris Mullins takes you on a journey with lawyers in the trenches who show you the realities of what it takes to succeed in this chaotic, crowded, ever-changing profession. Remember to visit our website at www.lawyerstellall.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on Lawyers Tell All.